Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm Jess. I've been contemplating this morning how free we are, theoretically, anyway. I mean, I don't know how free we are actually, with what is just around the bend here in terms of how technology will be used. And it's hard for me to think about that because to me, to be put into a situation where options and choices are limited and potentially movement and things like freedom of speech. That's what I mean, that's no life to me. That's no life. But for now, as it is, I've been embracing the reality and the joy that is the freedom to create and to speak freely and to share what's on your mind and in your heart on a forum like YouTube, not requiring anything. There's no hoops to jump through. You don't have to prove yourself in any particular way to be a part of a platform like this, right? You don't have to be a professional of any kind. Which makes me think about how these new technologies that we have are changing forever what it means to have a career and to be a professional. And the systems that we have bought into to get ourselves credentialed to do various things, whether you're like a school teacher or like myself, a yoga teacher, there's always a process, right? There's always somebody to pay to educate you on a certain path so that you can get a documentation, your piece of paper that says, hey, so-and-so is equipped to offer this skill or service because we've determined that's the case. And this is how we in this country identify who gets to do what and how much they get paid. And we're all still doing this. We're all still playing these games of, I must go and get this 8-year degree. Okay, yeah. I mean, sometimes people want PhDs and they want to be doctorates and they have a whole life on a very particular path and that is the right thing for them. Awesome. I'm not taking any of that away from anybody. I'm not suggesting such a thing. I'm glad to see that there's more space for people to share their gifts and the things that they know and that they can teach on publicly without requiring credentials. I'm kind of over the credentials, which is a funny thing to say because I would still probably look for them in certain circumstances. Okay, I want a well-credentialed surgeon if I ever need one, right? And I'm hoping for the people that we have in office it would be wonderful if they were well credentialed in terms of things like organizing and economic policy and just generally giving a shit, proof of that, right? But for the most part, I have found that the credentials don't always mean that a person is most equipped to offer what it is that they're selling. Case in point, I was recently offered a new position for a pilot program at the place that I work, and there were two particular areas of interest that were also areas that I have experience in that I could offer like a new service. Currently, I offer yoga and meditation, kind of one-on-one sessions with a whole variety of different people with different types of issues. And everybody is on their own recovery path. And I really, really enjoy it. But there was only one role for me to play at this job right now. So I found out there was something new and that we might be able to go on hikes with people, bring them out into nature as one position. And another was to teach on gardening and growing things and plant care and how that relates to, you know, personal healing, I guess, for recovery. I don't know. Healing's kind of a loaded word, but yeah, personal healing. I applied for both. I was excited because I feel equipped for both. Right? I have a lot of experience hiking, outdoor adventures, even like urban hiking, really fun. I spent some time as an environmental educator where I would take groups of kids out into the woods with other teachers from the public school system out my way, and I don't feel like I was that great at educating on all of the different plant life and the geology, because that wasn't really what I was interested in as much as encouraging children to feel awe-inspired. I thought that might be more important than the naming of the plants. But I digress. I have experience with this. I also have experience with gardening and growing things from way back. I mean, I don't know, maybe 12, 13 years ago more, just working on an organic farm on the weekends so that I could provide some supplemental nourishment for my family and show my children where food comes from and how hard it is to grow, and also how easy it is to grow, like how much labor is required, but also this is how things are grown. Okay, so I apply. I have a bachelor's degree and I have a 200-hour yoga teaching certification, which, by the way, doesn't mean pretty much diddly, but I'll get into that next. I received the position, super grateful for it. Got excited. I'm like, all right, great. I can take some new clients and go for some walks in the woods, figure out how to teach on gardening and plant care in such a way that would be helpful to the people that I'm working with. And then I find out that, whoops, I don't actually have this position. I don't actually have this job. Okay, well, why not? I don't know. I talked to one of my coworkers who also applied. And I was told that, we're not going to do this pilot program right now because they didn't realize that all of us that had applied with our bachelor's degrees and our corresponding other credentials were not equipped for this offering, because it's more of it's a master's level thing. Okay, so I find out one of my coworkers is getting the position, or will have it, or can have it, something. It was a little bit murky, but had no experience in the area that he was hired. And I was like, what? Wait a minute. Like, I can think of like so many ways in which I am equipped for both of these positions, and I was not selected in the end. And the reason was that I don't have a master's degree. So, and let me just bring it back, right? It's frustrating to me, and that would be kind of a gentle way of putting it, that I would have to have a master's degree for this position to begin with, because it just seems like kind of like a human experience, right? Especially if you've engaged in it. You don't really need a master's degree in gardening or hiking to be a deeply attuned listener, a supportive presence, a guide in an unfamiliar terrain. All these things that you just learn just by being out there and being human and engaging in reality. But this little incident of not getting this position because it suddenly had a master's requirement, or maybe it did have a master's requirement, but my employers didn't know somehow, has really highlighted for me the necessity, the absolute necessity for me to just get over the fears that I have of being online, especially right now when it's getting riskier and riskier to kind of be yourself, especially if you are politically opinionated in a way that is antithetical to what is being thrown down by the thugs in the White House right now. The necessity of owning the personal power that I have, that everybody actually has, but I'm talking about me right now in terms of this situation. The power in terms of the ability to use the internet as a forum, as a platform, as a place to do business that does not require, at this time, all of the things that we've done and have experience with to be credentialized. Guess what? We don't have to do that, guys. We don't have to. We don't have to have credentials for everything anymore. I'm not saying we shouldn't have experience. I'm not saying we shouldn't be prepared to take responsibility to be the teachers and the leaders. I'm just saying that these credentials don't always mean shit. And if somebody that I know and work with was honored with a position that I am actually, in fact, more equipped to do and experienced because they went to school for 2 years longer than I did, but don't have experience in the realm at all, I just don't have any respect for that anymore. I don't care. Like, that, to me, that is a clear sign and indication to go your own way. Go your own way, because otherwise you're always going to be waiting for somebody to tell you that you are ready or approved to do the work you're intended to do and to make the kind of money that you could make. I cannot. I'm losing so much respect for it, all of it, for the system, because the level of gatekeeping that happens for these positions really prevents not only people like myself from being able to do good work in the world with the skills and the vision and the experience that we have, but it also prevents people from being able to receive the kind of care and companionship, professional companionship, that they could get from those of us who are experienced, because, other things are more important, right? The education, the credentials, and I haven't even spoken on the increasing cost of education. And for a minute there, it seemed like a lot of us who have gotten an education, formal education, might be in for some student loan debt relief. Wouldn't that be a beautiful thing? Because again, if we are going to require all these credentials and all of these different steps that we have to get to and meet to receive the credentials, to receive the job, to receive the money, we actually have to have the resources to get the credentials, to go to school, to get the education. Again, more barriers to being able to produce good work, be helpful to people, and be able to produce money for yourself without having to go through someone else, whether it's a company or, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm thinking of companies right now. Or I guess it could be like I'm thinking of like government positions and stuff, but that's going to take me onto a different tangent. All I'm saying is that we don't need anybody's permission. We don't need anybody's permission to take us online into the public sphere to produce content, educational content, inspirational content, creative content, artistic content, podcasts, whatever it is that we want to do, that we care about, that we're excited about. We could just talk about it. We can just put it out there. We can really kind of do whatever we want, at least right now. And I guess I'm feeling like the window for this freedom is kind of narrowing, because all of these things only exist so long as we have the freedom to speak freely and share freely online. It only works if it's like the Wild West. The Wild West. Online. Once they start to regulate it, it's just going to be the same old story. We might as well, need a more credentialing again, right? But for now, for me, I see it as an invitation that not receiving that job, that extra position, because of my lack of a master's degree, I was upset about it for about 5 seconds. And then I was like, that is fucking absurd. And I don't respect systems of control that are not grounded in reality and in justice, fairness. That's not it. So here I am. I'm going to do what I can to teach on what I know and share what I have to share wherever it goes. And right now, this is an experimental phase where I'm just going to talk on stuff that seems to matter to me in hopes that it might matter to somebody else and be helpful to somebody else. And then what would be helpful to me is if you do find it helpful or thought-provoking, or you want to argue with me or whatever, leave a comment. If you liked the video or any part of it, like the video. If you find it share-worthy, share it. But engage with me. It'll give you more to talk about and respond to. It'll keep me more excited about continuing with this, even while I have concerns about the potential consequences of putting a real self, out there at this time and place. Hey, well, thank you for being with me. I'll see you soon.